Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. You know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, give us a thumbs up so you'll get all things DutyRon and this guy, my partner in crime, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Today, let's talk about it. Drama in the courtroom. Is it possible? Is there a possible mistrial in the future? Dr. Welcher takes the stand and testifies in the Karen Reed trial, day 21. We're going to get into it in a few. Ed, without giving away the shop, your thoughts on today before we listen to this little piece.
Well, my head exploded, and I think somebody in Australia found it, so please return it.
That says it all. I know you're fired up about this because although you're in New Jersey, you're in your Jersey Shore house. You've been watching the trial. You've been listening with headphones and so forth. So I know that you know what's going on, and we have a doozy on our hands, don't we, Ed?
Oh, yeah, 100%, 100%. I was just so totally disgusted with everything that transpired today.
You know, some people looking at this from a different pair of lenses would say that today was a good day for the Commonwealth. We totally disagree, and we're not just disagreeing because we're just going along with the flow. There's a lot to talk about here today. So let us know in the comment section in the live chat your thoughts on today's testimony from Dr. Welcher, and we're going to get into it in a few minutes.
Tonight, the prosecution's final witness takes the stand. Could it be the most important one yet?
I have no dog in this fight. I don't, quite frankly, care. What I'm doing is trying to do a good engineering job, which is looking at the data and drawing sound principles and sound conclusions from the data.
An accident reconstruction expert goes over his findings.
That impact did not break or crack that taillight.
The takeaways on the injuries and the physical evidence found at the scene, plus the big moment stricken from the record.
With a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that is what happened.
We go over that and more with our panel of experts. Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial, starts right now.
Court was back in session today, and it was a big day for the prosecution. Good evening, everyone. I'm JC Monahan. Glenn is off tonight. A crash.
I don't know where she got that from, but I don't believe, and I don't really go with that narrative.
Reconstructionist went over his analysis of the data from Karen Reed's car and John O'Keefe's phone and gave his expert opinion on what happened the night John died. Let's get right out to Melody Mendez. She's joining us live from Norfolk Superior Court with the very latest on today's proceedings. Melody?
Well, JC, you're absolutely right. That accident reconstructionist is a biomedical engineer. His name is Dr. Judson Welcher. He was on the stand all day today. He works for a company called Aperture. We've heard a lot about them before. One of his colleagues that testified just last week. But here's the thing. Reed says he is the prosecution's final witness. Now, we can't confirm that because the attorneys for both sides are under a gag order in this case. But court certainly ended in a very interesting way today. Take a look.
Dr. Judson Welcher began his work after the first trial ended in September of 2024, delving into the data from Karen Reed's SUV, John O'Keefe's iPhone, taking a visit to the scene at 34 Fairview Road, and even buying a Lexus SUV like Reed's to conduct testing. First, he acknowledged that there is no vehicle data that would show the impact of a pedestrian collision like this one.
The Lexus is a 6,000-pound vehicle. Mr. O'Keefe's only 216 pounds. So it's not going to register.
Today, Welcher focused on two trigger events in the SUV's data. A three-point turn made before Reed arrived at the home on Fairview Road, and a second trigger event, reversing outside Fairview. An approximate match, he says, for when O'Keefe's cell phone locked for the final time. He also testified that Reed's SUV did make contact with O'Keefe's SUV when she was pulling out of the driveway on Meadows Ave, but says
that impact did not break or crack that taillight.
He also studied O'Keefe's injuries, even trying to recreate the alleged contact by dressing like O'Keefe and having a car drive into him with grease paint on the taillight, leaving markings on his arm.
The location and orientation of the laceration on John O'Keefe's right forearm and arm are consistent with the geometry and orientation of the right taillight.
All culminating with this moment on the stand.
I've inspected the Lexus. I've looked at where it wasn't damaged. I've inspected the taillight. I got an exemplar Lexus. I ran lower speed contacts to verify that the injury pattern and location on the arm is consistent with the height and orientation of the taillight. And then I've looked at Miss Reed's interviews as well.
Based on all the evidence you considered, could you share with the jury what your opinion is to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, based on the totality of the evidence, DNA, everything I've talked about, that is consistent with that happening with a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. That is what happened.
All right, I can't take no more. I can't take no more.
I know. I had to stop it right there. But
listening to this testimony all day, I'm throwing the bullshit flag on the field. And, you know, if this is total horseshit, there's no science to anything this guy did. Okay. Where's the science in what he did? Where's the physics? Okay. Of what he did? Why did he put so much emphasis on Karen Reed's interview? Right. If you're a scientist, you conduct experiments. How many of these experiments did he do? Okay. First of all, do you know what the tire pressure was on all 4 of those tires on Karen Reed's SUV at the time of the incident? You don't know that. Well, because the tire pressure could affect the height of the vehicle, right? Do you know that this is an air suspension system? Okay. Do you know how that works? Does it, when you turn on the car, does the air suspension system kick in and then lift the vehicle 2 inches? Because then that changes all the measurements, okay? Did you have the curvature of the street in front of the Albert's house, all right? Because the curvature of the street then affects how the car sits on the street at the location where they suspect all of this is happening. Did you have the curvature and the geometry of not only the street in front of the Albert's house, but the driveway of John O'Keefe's house, okay? Did you have that information? Okay. Did you calculate all of that? And how did you have a person of the same weight as Karen Reed sitting in the driver's seat of the vehicle when you were taking these measurements and trying to compare it to John O'Keefe's car and the height? Because all of these things affect your analysis. Did you have the tire pressure in John O'Keefe's car while it was parked in the driveway? You had none of this information, okay? And where did you do the experiment? Did you take Karen Reed's car back to John O'Keefe's driveway, and then using your 3D laser scans and your photometrics that you said you did, put the vehicles back in place and then try to conduct those measurements and stuff? You said you examined John O'Keefe's car, but you saw no damage. Did you know that the car was damaged and repaired? Did anybody tell you that? Were you not aware of that fact?
Yeah, you failed to look up those records. Also, Ed, one other thing, and I wanted to just start off with quickly. I mean, I know you're going off of everything that is very upsetting to you, but in the beginning of this, before anything started, there was a voir-dire that took place, and Dr. Welcher stated that his report was edited. He took out some stuff and added some stuff because of Shannon Burgess's report. Now, this is, again, this is how the day started off. And I don't mean to sidetrack you or anything like that, but I know you wanted to talk about this. But this is how the day started, and it confused a lot of people. Can you talk a little bit about that, Ed?
Yeah, well, that's another thing, too. It wasn't just Burgess's report. It was also Ian's report. And so he testifies in the voir-dire, and I can't believe he said these things, that he doesn't have a dog in the fight and he really doesn't care. Really? You don't care? You should care about the professionalism and the manner that you conduct yourself and how you testify and the work that you perform. Okay. You should care. Okay. But if anything I learned from your testimony today is that, you tried to say in that statement that you were unbiased. No, what I saw was a gun for hire. Okay. What I saw was a forensic person that was hired to do a job. And he testifies in there that he changed his report based upon Brennan telling him to change his report.
Yeah.
Now, Brennan, don't get me going with that guy because I think he's a total piece of shit too. Okay. I don't trust him. I think he's an out and out liar. He lies all the time. Okay. I think he should be sanctioned for the amount of times that he's lied to the court. Okay. Right to the judge's face, but nothing happens to him. Okay. In his arguments.
Yeah. Amazing. I just, every day that this trial goes forward, it's just one thing after another. Nothing ceases to amaze us. I mean, look at what you have going on as it pertains. This is the last witness that the Commonwealth is calling. And now we're going to throw the ball over into the defense court. But I can't wait for Mr. Alessi to cross-examine this witness tomorrow. Dr. Welcher talked about in the beginning of the day that he works for Aperture and he's worked in this field for, did he say some 30 some odd years, Ed? Correct me if I'm wrong. But he says he has he's a biomechanical engineer and he is a crash reconstructionist.
He's a medical engineer. That's totally different than biomechanical engineer.
My ears heard him say that he is a biomechanical engineer, correct?
Well, he may have said it, but that's not what it's on his CV. That's not what his PhD is in.
Anybody in the chat listening intently to it? I listened back because during the day it was very busy today, but I heard him say that and I wrote it down as he was saying it when I listened back. Again, we'll go back to that in the beginning. And here, a lot of people are saying that's what he said, Ron.
But that's not what his degree is in.
Right. And I'm sure that the cross-examination tomorrow, that will be front and center because, again, he said a biomechanical engineer. And that's what I wrote down.
Yeah. But he's not. He's a biomedical engineer. Let's
listen to what Karen Reed said outside of court today. And again, Ed and I do not agree with her talking. I don't think it's a good thing. Look, we heard him at the end of the day mention that he listens to her. He listened to her interviews, and those are public record. All the interviews that Karen Reed did, anybody could listen to it. But really, these defense experts are not supposed to be saying to the jury, I'm listening to her interviews. I'm doing investigations on this case. He's there to do an accident reconstruction and to go over the biomechanics, right, of the crash of inside the vehicle. And he talks about this. But let's listen to what Karen had to say outside of court today. And this is just a really short little piece.
The data is what the data is, and it's going to come out cleanly, more cleanly in our case in chief. I think it's important to demonstrate what is the Commonwealth accusing me of? The speed, the positioning, recreate that for us. Back up into the crash test dummy at 24.2 miles an hour in the arm and see what happens. That's what I would want to see if I were you.
So that was just a little piece of her talking outside the court. Ed, again, I wanted to set it up from the beginning and go through this, but some of the more important parts of what took place today was at the very end, right?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of important parts to his credibility and what he was saying. By the way, Doc, the Blue Men group called and they want their face makeup back. Okay. All right. Darlene, thank you. I'll give you my FedEx account. I want it overnight. Send it back.
So Ed, yeah, there was a lot of things. There was a lot of fancy talk going on. A lot of people that were watching it were lost. And I can only imagine what the jurors were thinking because they're lost here.
Let me tell you a couple of things that he said that was totally bullshit. Now, I am not an accident reconstructionist. I'm a forensics person. I'm a crime scene investigator. But I have been called out on vehicular homicides to work the scene jointly with the NYPD accident reconstruction team. And I do my part and they do their part, but we talk and we learn from each other. And he says that hitting a person will not make a triggering event. That's total bullshit. Okay. You hit a person, you hit a deer, you're going to create a trigger event. Okay. Especially, if there's going to be substantial damage and braking and acceleration, all of those things. Now, the car has limited slip differential, okay? And it shifts the power from the wheels that slip to the wheels that grip, right? That's the commercial. Well, guess what? When that safety feature is activated, there should be a triggering event, okay? Where is it? He said the wheels were spinning. And then one video, you could see the wheels spinning as it's being brought up onto the flatbed truck, okay? So there should be a trigger event for that, all right? There should also be a trigger event for the three-point turn that Karen did in the driveway of John O'Keefe's house.
1162-1 is the three-point turn. And then
Right.
trigger alert at 1162.2, which is 8 minutes later. Commonwealth said it was supposed to be 7. He said 8. These are some contradictions.
He doesn't explain any of the physics that would cause that taillight to shatter into 47 pieces. He doesn't talk about any of the physics associated with hitting that arm and what damage that's another thing. And what damage that would have caused. He got in over his skis talking about medical stuff that was way beyond his skill sets, and he should have never crossed that line. He is not a doctor. The medical examiner knows what accidents are. She's a trained, triple board certified pathologist, okay? And he said the most common injury in a motor vehicle person accident is a head injury, and that's not true. It's the lower extremities, okay? I don't know where he was quoting from, all right? Then he does the dummy experiment, and the dummy is just falling with gravity, all right? If he should have took that car that he purchased, and that's another thing. Who paid for that car? The Commonwealth? Did the Commonwealth? Because he said he bought that car. Did they give him permission? Is he billing them for that car?
I guarantee you he's billing them for that car because this guy is not paying for that out of his pocket.
Right.
He's there to make money. He's there.
Is he keeping the car? First of all, he made money. He sold his company. He's a multimillionaire. Okay. All right. I don't even know why he's still working if he made that kind of money in the sale of his business. All right. If I had his money, I wouldn't be on here.
There you go. Let's listen to him raise his right hand and take the oath and sit down, and let's hear what he has to say about his qualifications.
Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Yes, sir. Thank you. You're welcome. May I refer to my resume? May I refer to my resume?
May I refer to my resume?
All right, Mr. Brennan,
Thank
whenever
you.
you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Brennan.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for the court reporter who's next to you?
Absolutely. My name is Judson Welcher. My first name is Judson. Last name is Welcher, Welcher.
Sir, what do you do for a profession?
I'm an accident reconstructionist and biomechanical engineer.
I'd like you to explain to us a little bit about what an accident reconstructionist does.
Sure.
All right. So did I hear that right, Ed?
He said it, but that's not what his degree is in.
Let's back it up a little bit.
Let's see what happens with cross-examination tomorrow.
For fuck's sake.
Raise your right hand. Yes, sir. You solemnly swear to be honest, give the court and jury the case now hears the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Yes, sir. Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm going to put it on normal. So listen up, people.
May I refer to my resume? May I refer to my resume?
Bev is all
All right, Mr. Brennan,
Thank
whenever
you.
you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Brennan.
Could you
This is
please
testimony. This isn't the voir-dire.
jury and spell your first and last name for the court reporter who's next to you?
Absolutely. My name is Judson Welcher. My first name is Judson. Last name is Welcher, Welcher.
Sir, what do you do for a profession?
I'm an accident reconstructionist and biomechanical engineer.
Biomechanical engineer, and that is not what he is. Ed?
That's right. His degree says his PhD is in biomedicine. Okay.
a lot to talk about here. But Ed, as you stated, he did go over a lot. There's over 2 hours, and I have Kristen bookmarked and consolidated his testimony. But in the beginning, there was that voir-dire. Did you have anything that you wanted to talk about that he mentioned in that? Do you want me to go over anything inside there before we move forward?
Yeah, I mean, again, he said that in the beginning, that he tried to say that he's not biased, and that's, you know, all forensic experts should not be biased. We don't take sides, right? It's the science, and it either is right or it's wrong. Okay, but he makes statements that, you know, as you saw at the end, was totally inappropriate. That's the way it happened. No, that's your opinion. This is your opinion. You feel this is what happened. Could it have happened another way? Yeah, you took all this data that you allegedly talked about. You don't know where all the lenses to the broken tail light came from. You have no measurements because they didn't take any measurements. You don't have any overall photographs. You don't have any mid-range. You have some close up, but those last 2 times that lenses were recovered, nothing. Okay, that was Sergeant Uri and Proctor, right, who collected those things. Even the search team, you don't have any measurements. You have no scans. You have nothing, all right, to tell you anything about this. Even the video that they showed in trial of the accident at John O'Keefe's driveway, as Karen's SUV is pulling away, they mysteriously stop it just before you could see the profile of the tail light. And so you can't see if the plastic lens is damaged or is still in place. Okay. And remember, this is at 5 something in the morning after the alleged trigger event where John was supposedly hit by her. Okay. And again, he also says in his testimony, when he's doing his experiment, one of the experiments he's doing, he's holding a glass tumbler, okay, in his hand, as if John was holding the tumbler when he got hit by the tail light. He says that they identified where the tumbler came from. The glass tumbler came from the bar, the last bar they were at. None of that there's nothing in the evidence about that. They were not able to prove where that glass came from, that it belonged to that bar or it came from the Albert's house. No one knows exactly where that glass came from. And there's no evidence to support what he said.
Right. And I got a question for you. This pertains to the NYPD and some of the larger police departments. We have accident reconstruction in the highway, the accident investigation squad, right? Do they don't do this stuff? So my question is, and this may sound like a dumb one, and I'm asking this for the audience: why, in God's name, did the investigators, the Massachusetts State Police, why in God's name did they not do accident reconstruction as it pertains to this? I know the answer to it, but why didn't they do this here?
I mean, we can wide this case to the cows come home, because why didn't they call out the crime scene team? Why did they call the CERT team? Why didn't they bring the accident reconstruction team out if that's what they were going with, right? Yeah. Why were there none of the photographs? Why were none of the forensic standards followed? I mean, none of this would have been in trial in New York. There would no DA, ADA would have taken this case. They would have laughed these guys right out. No grand jury would have been adjourned for to hear this, because they didn't do a proper investigation.
Yeah. It's insanity at its best. This is Karen Reed, the full of her walking down the stairs, because people wanted to hear everything that she had to say. So I'm going to play this just to let everybody listen in Karen Reed coming outside of court today.
Karen, did you think Dr. Welcher's recreations were good with the test dummy and the
and the grease paint on his arm? No. And he backed up into himself at 2.2 or something miles per hour. So he tried to dress identically to John, but didn't do anything else to mimic what the Commonwealth is accusing me of. So did you go in reverse 24 miles an hour, 53 feet? The data is what the data is. It's going to come out cleanly, more cleanly in our case in chief. I think it's important to demonstrate what is the Commonwealth accusing me of. The speed, the positioning, recreate that for us. Back up into the crash test dummy at 24.2 miles an hour in the arm and see what happens. That's what I would want to see if I were you.
Do you recall that at all, Karen? No. You
No,
recall, you
no.
don't recall it at all. Can you
It
tell us
didn't
who the
happen.
four witnesses are? Who the four witnesses?
So that was it outside of court. And there's so much to this. And you know what? I really feel strongly that former disgraced, fired trooper Michael Proctor, on January 29th in the late to early morning hours on the day John O'Keefe was murdered, he already had his suspect. He already had his subject. He was not doing any investigations. And we have him in the first trial. We have him testifying to those were the text messages that he sent to his friend and his sister in a group chat that we're going to pin it on the girl, and she's not going to skate, as he said in his
And the
words.
Alberts are cops, and they're not going to take any heat.
They're not going to take any heat. And that is the lead investigator. I don't care what Trooper Sergeant Buchanan says from the Massachusetts State Police, Norfolk County, homicide squad says. He's the lead. He's not the case detective. This guy was the lead. And I don't give a shit if it's on a 30-day round robin, as he described. He couldn't say under oath that former disgraced Trooper Michael Proctor, fired, was the lead case detective, was the lead detective on this case. So it's just hogwash. Ed, you see something in the chat?
Right, yeah. I want to talk about those triggering events again, and I want to talk about something I saw in the chat. If your backup safety system kicks on and it's going ding, 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 well, guess what? There should be a trigger event recorded of that, because your safety device kicked on to warn you of that potential danger, right? I don't hear anybody saying that there was a trigger to as if the SUV was approaching John, right? And the sensors went off because they tested the sensors and all the sensors on the car were working. Okay. I saw in the chat that, Ed thinks he's the only forensic expert and he's always attacking the other forensic experts. That's not true. I'm not always attacking other forensic expert. I just attack the ones that don't do their job properly and make forensics look foolish.
Yeah. And that person, listen, I always say this, Ed, and I say this to everybody. If you do not agree with what you're hearing, you can respectfully put something like that in the comments. But if you go and attack myself or Ed or one of our moderators or anybody in our live chat, then you will be blocked and you can go and watch somebody else and put your toxic comment somewhere else. But we call the balls and strikes, as we say here all the time. And if you don't like to hear the truth, if the truth hurts, and there's many other channels that will spoon feed you bullshit. This is not, we're not spoon feeding bullshit here. Ed's expertise runs very deep, and he goes around and trains people across not only the United States, but across the world. I don't think that this guy that we're looking at here on the screen has those credentials, and it's clear and evident that he doesn't.
Hey, I've testified in 399 trials and been certified as a forensic expert by judges, okay, in all these trials. What's with this PowerPoint bullshit? Yeah. We were never allowed to use PowerPoints to testify. You were given questions by the prosecutor and the defense attorney, and you answered the questions. You couldn't produce PowerPoints and have your testimony in a PowerPoint.
Right. It's hogwash. It's hogwash, as we say, Ed. All right. This is at the 346 mark where he voices his opinion. This is something we talked about before we went live. This was huge, and we're going to let this play in its entirety.
As well. Based on all the evidence you considered, could you share with the jury what your opinion is to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.
Objection, Your Honor.
Going to 11.
Actions?
Yes, based on the totality of the evidence, DNA, everything I've talked about, that is consistent with that happening, and with a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that is what happened.
Objection. Move to
All right,
strike, Your Honor.
all right.
Move to strike.
Unbelievable. You know, I nearly went into orbit and I almost collided with the space station when he said this shit. Okay. DNA, where's that part of your accident reconstruction biomedical degree? I mean, DNA, you didn't talk about any of your testimony about DNA. Okay. And then you say, this is how it happened. Oh, that's, in my opinion, you say, in my opinion, you know, I feel this is what occurred. That's how you answer that question. You don't turn to the jury with 100% certainty that this is how it happened. Play that back, Ron.
You just caught me with going to the next one, but I'll grab it. Give me 2 seconds.
I want you to clearly listen to his exact words, 100% certainty. Okay? That is a hired gun, because no true forensic professional will ever stick their neck out 100% certainty.
The defendant's Lexus struck Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.
Objection, Your Honor.
Going to 11.
Actions?
Yes, based on the totality of the evidence, DNA, everything I've talked about, that is consistent with that happening, and with a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that is what happened.
Objection. Move to
That
strike.
is what happened.
Strike.
Boom.
Wow.
And
And guess what? Immediate objection. She struck that from the record, and then she instructed the jury to disregard that. But again, the toothpaste is out of the tube. There's no sticking it back in there. They heard it. So you know what that means. Now, apparently, Brennan has one more question for this witness tomorrow. But and there was an objection to what he had said there, I'd be moving for a mistrial. I mean, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, but I know lawyers that would be moving for a mistrial now, okay, based upon what just transpired there. So there were, as you saw, for those of you who watched, the jury was dismissed, and then they had arguments between Alessi and Brennan and the judge about, you know, what just transpired. And Brennan was, oh, they have no case studies. They have no case that can cite that, and Alessi brought out the receipts. They had the case, okay, that says that what this expert just did is wrong. And the whole, now they're going to argue, okay, how are you going to fix this? How's the judge going to fix this? All right. Because as I said, the toothpaste is out of the tube. He said it. The jury heard it. Even though she instructed them to disregard it, how do you fix this?
right.
Because he stepped way over that line. And he says he has no dog in the race. Well, it sure looks like he's got a dog in the race. And that dog that's holding that leash is Brennan.
Yeah. He said, I have no dog in the fight. And I thought it was inappropriate for him to even say that, given the nature of what happened here in this case. But Ed, let's switch gears. Here, he's testifying
Or what happened
to his experiments that he did, his crash reconstruction with the blue paint. I don't want your blood pressure to go through the roof. I'll take a minute to go through the chat if you want. But this got your blood boiling a little bit, and it had a lot of people confused when he was holding the cocktail glass and then doing all of his experiments, and also showing a lot of graphs and fancy things. Do you want to let this play a little bit?
Play it.
to the people to look at what happened to the cars, meaning to actually look at the cars, not just look at photographs when possible. So I have physically looked at the cars. For example, on the Lexus, I climbed in it, over it, underneath it. I downloaded data from it. I did a whole bunch of things looking at Miss Reed's Lexus to assist in my analysis to try and add some further objective data to what we're doing here. So same thing with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Looked at the rear bumper, took some pieces off the rear bumper to see what was behind the cover, to see what kind of damage we did or didn't have. So went to the scene, looked at the measurements of the curb, looked at where some of the lines are on the road, because you can see them in some of the photographs. Again, it's always good when possible to inspect everything you can inspect.
If you could now begin and tell us how you started your investigation.
And then some of the stuff that he talked about, we spoke about. Some of it you agree with, right?
Yes, there were some things, yes.
I just want to be clear. And everything that he testified to today wasn't complete garbage. I mean, he does this for a living, but unfortunately, in this case, he showed major bias. And just by his last statement that he made there, it was stricken from the record. He showed who and what lens he was looking through, and it was the Commonwealth's lens all the way. He didn't, as he stated in the beginning, Ed, I have no dog in this fight, and quite frankly, I couldn't care less. No, it seems like he does care.
He relied heavily on what the MSP told him.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So on September 23rd, I had an opportunity to come out. Mr. Brennan was the first time I ever met you on that day, I believe. And I had received material before that. And what you see here is, this is my inspection of Miss Reed's vehicle. In the upper left photograph, you'll see, oh, this doesn't work very well. Upper left photograph, that's Miss Reed's vehicle. That's Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, the Chevy Traverse. And then what you see here is a laser scanner. You can see it on the ground here. Laser scanner is creating a 3D model of the vehicles. So I use that to create a 3D model of the vehicles.
I can't tell if that's a Leica or a Pharaoh.
Say again, Ed?
The laser scanner, it looks like it might be a Leica. I can't tell.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry.
Yeah, there's one on the floor too, behind the bumper of, yeah, right there.
It looks like in one part and then black on the side. So
right. Yeah, that might be Leica.
What do you use in your?
I have both.
Yeah, when I was in Rockland County, I thought I saw.
Yeah, we have both. We have the Pharaoh and the Leica.
Yeah, I saw Pharaoh, and then I saw this one.
Graph, that watch is this watch right here, my Garmin watch. And what I'm doing is looking at the construction composition of that right rear corner of the bumper. I'm looking at things such as the dimensions, where various lights and components are, and how does the geometry of that bumper relate to things that would be hit when backed into.
Now, all of this.
This is 9.
Now, Ed, is this standard accident reconstruction? Are we looking at accident reconstruction 101, or is this over the top, or did he do too little?
Well,
just asking for a friend.
Several things that occurred. If they had access to John O'Keefe's driveway, then all of this should have been done there. Okay, so that you had the driveway, and you got to pray that the driveway wasn't resurfaced. There was no change to the driveway between the time of the incident and the time that he's conducting this inspection that he's doing here, and the scanning and so forth. Okay, now if he's going to be doing these backup scenarios and measuring heights and everything, again, Karen Reed's car, was it on at the time that he took the heights here? Because if it's on and he has the air suspension and it raises it 2 inches, again, we have to verify that as in fact what occurs with this particular car. Again, don't know the air pressure in the tires from the incident to this day. You don't know the topography of that land here, because that looks pretty flat as opposed to what was on the street in front of the Albert's house or in the driveway of John's house. You don't know the angles of all those surfaces and how that impacts how the car sits. You didn't have anybody of Karen's weight inside the vehicle on the driver's seat, because again, all of these things. Look, when I do shooting reconstructions of a vehicle, okay, I like to do it at the scene at the time of the incident, not in some garage or in some storage area for the vehicles. That's the time to do it, whether it's in a house, a shooting, or in a car, but especially a car. And then you gather all the weather conditions. I take out at least 3 different air pressure gauges and measure all the air in the tires. I get the weights of all the occupants of the vehicle and where they were sitting in the vehicle. So I know all this and how it impacts the suspension system and so forth. And then you scan the street, 3D laser scan the street, so you can see the arch in the street and you understand what the angles are involved there, and you have the exact location of the vehicle in situ, and have that scanned into the system. There's just so many things that weren't done here, and it just boggles my mind to think that, okay, this guy's going to come in after the fact and without all this data, with all this missing data, try to come up and say 100% certainty this is how it went down.
Unbelievable.
Now wait, one more thing. Okay, he went out, but yet there's more. Okay, I saw a Melanie Little show that she was talking about how he went out and he bought all the clothing that John was wearing, but I didn't see the hoodie. I saw the t-shirt, I saw the jeans, and he was bragging about it. I saw a hat and I saw the sneakers. Okay, she was saying that he was cosplaying John. Okay, again, depending on if I'm doing a shooting reconstruction and the clothes were involved, I do go out and purchase the same clothing. Okay, if I'm doing a shooting reconstruction, okay, there's the hoodie. All right,
exactly.
Yeah, he's got the t-shirt, he's got the hoodie, he's got the pants, okay, but I go out and purchase the same clothing too, especially if they sustained ballistic damage and I'm going to be shooting the suspect's weapon or the officer's weapon into the clothing that contains the ballistic gelatin skeleton and so forth. So I'm going to buy the same exact clothing.
Ed, I'm getting pretty good because as you were talking about it, I was scanning forward in the thing and I caught this.
Right.
This is his exact outfit. And
right.
The pants, and he's got white Nike sneakers on.
Although his back pocket's not torn.
Right. But that happens later after he gets hit and falls backwards. Right. Let's let a little of this play because this is his experiment with the blue paint. Was it paint, did he say, or was it the gel that gets
grease paint? Grease paint.
Thank you.
And actually the same kind of baseball hat. We tried to determine the exact glass from the waterfall grill. Found out they were getting different ones at different times, but I ordered my glass from the same distributor that Waterfall Grill ordered their glasses from. So you can see in my right hand here, I have a glass. Here's a glass. It looks similar. It's from the same location. And then in the lower right photograph, what I've done is I've rolled up my sleeve, taken the sweatshirt off, and I'm going to look at how this contact pattern lines up. So the first set of slides, I'm simply standing next to the Lexus. We know we have a broken taillight. We know how scratches on Mr. O'Keefe's arm. I'm seeing how those may or may not relate to the height and position of the taillight.
Dr. Welcher, if you could back up one slide, I have a question for you. In the middle photograph, at the top of the Lexus, there's like a rim. What do you call that?
I call it a wind wing. I mean, it could be a wing.
A spoiler.
Thank you.
I got a spoiler on my car.
Air dam would be another. Okay, so I then set about to do a little bit of testing with the Lexus. The first test you're going to see is me just walking backwards or actually sideways into the Lexus. What I've done is I've painted the Lexus right rear tail light with what's called grease paint. Kind of sort of like paint, but it doesn't dry. And then I have backed up sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm out to see what the damage pattern looks like, or basically where someone
Holding his glass.
arm would
Yeah. Right here. Unbelievable.
contact the rear tail light. So then what you see is I've shown the photographs again. I show the paint transfer.
Ed, let's talk about this just for a second, real quick, because a lot of people are chatting and chiming about this. Sorry, Ed, but I think Welcher's dressing up in John's clothes was creepy. If he wasn't trying to recreate the holes in the hoodie or the grass stains on the jeans, what was the point?
Yeah. Why did he take the hoodie off for this experiment that he just did here? Why did he take the hoodie off? And if he was going to do multiple experiments, then he should have bought multiple hoodies. Yeah, it is creepy. 100%. And no, I don't wear the clothes. I've never worn the clothes because a lot of the times the reconstruction work I'm doing is shooting reconstruction, and I'm shooting the clothes. So not a good idea to be in the clothes and shooting myself.
Yeah,
I know some people would like that, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, the whole thing was very juvenile, the whole setup. And how many of these experiments did he do? Okay, and how many takes did he do? Because all of that should have been turned over to the defense team, right? Because the whole thing about a scientific study is you try to conduct controlled experiments, right? And you have to repeat them several times, not just one and done. You have to repeat that particular experiment multiple times to see if you get the similar results each time. And all that has to be documented.
How many people in the chat here right now, live watching, and how many people watching on the replay? Let us know in the comments down below after the video's over. How many people were bored with this testimony and these demonstrations today? Put a 1 if you were bored, put a 2 if you weren't. I found that watching this back, as you know, if I was somebody that was a lay person that knows nothing about this stuff, you kind of lost me, because it was several hours of this doctor talking. He had that big folding notebook that was this thick with notes and all of his stuff from these demonstrations that he did and these tests that he did. But it looks like a lot of people were bored with it, and just very few put a 2 and said, I was fascinated with it. Now, when you have jury, a young jury, by many people who have been in the courtrooms, statements that this is a younger jury, it's important to have their attention at as much as possible. But this really was difficult to listen to, because it just went into so much. And I cut through the chase here. There's about an hour before this where he just showed all of his diagrams and all of the, the technical data about the,
there was a lot of fluff.
Yeah, fluff. Thank you.
There was a lot of fluff and not enough substance. All right. And this is Brennan, though. He does this with all those other experts as well. He doesn't understand. Keep it simple, stupid. All right. This jury tuned out, right into the beginning, at the beginning of his testimony, because of all the stuff that he added that didn't need to be there. Just get to the meat. Get to the meat here and give the jury the meat. There's no reason to have this buildup of all this. Oh, I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. This is the scans and this is how we do photogrammetry, and just, okay, this is what I did and this is what it means.
Like you said, too much fluff, too many potatoes. I want just the meat. Give me the meat. Where's the beef? Let's go to some of these super chats. I want to catch up with them. Heather, thank you for the 5. She said, I knew Ed would be losing his mind during the entirety of this Joker's testimony. I was expecting a circus music to start playing any second. Tracy, thank you for the super sticker. Dolly Good, thank you for becoming a new member. Barb RN says the prosecutor called him a biomedical engineer and he corrected him. I caught that one too. He did correct him. But again, it's not the prosecutor. Wait a minute. No. the prosecutor called him a biomedical engineer, and he corrected him, but he introduced himself. You know, when we played it 3 times, he introduced himself
as a biomechanical engineer.
Yeah. So
okay, but his degree is biomedical engineer.
There you go.
Okay.
Babs Bunny, thank you. I'm with you, Ed. Let's show how New Yorkers work. Me, member for 9 months. It boggles my mind how people think she's guilty. You know, everybody sees things through a different lens, and if you got your blinders on, it's easy to get caught up in it. Eileen, thank you for being a member. 13 months. This is a persecution, not a prosecution. She's put that in the chat a few different times and a few different shows. Tara, thank you for being a member for 28 months. Hi, friends. I miss you all. Much love. Ed, people love you and I. This is a love fest here. So we got to give them credit here. Thank you, Superman. $5. Why didn't they follow standard procedure for crime scene investigation? One word, Sopranos.
Well, because they were hoping she was going to take a plea, because they must have done this to a lot of other people in that jurisdiction. They overcharge,
got away with it.
You know, throw the kitchen sink at them, and they take the plea. They have a very high conviction rate up in this jurisdiction. And
one name, Sandra Birchmore.
Yep. Hey, can I? Okay.
Jeff, thank you for the 5X. As an ex-Ford Master Certified Technician, even the resistance control module would have recorded that of the event.
Restraint.
Yes.
Yes.
There you
That's
go.
right. When the seatbelt tightens. Right. So absolutely. Hold on 1 second. Okay, you got it.
Thunder Horse, thank you so much. Why did he need Karen's medical records?
He didn't. Right? If he's a scientist, he didn't need those records. That was superfluous.
Go ahead, Ed, before you forget your thought.
Delene M, 100%. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, you baffle them with bullshit.
Yeah. So we were at Texas RN. Thank you for the $2. Dressing like John was creepy. We agree. We agree. Summer Girl, thank you. In my opinion, he's paid off. He's paid off and a jerk. Yeah, everybody's got their opinions of him. Mimi, lover, good law. Thank you for the 2.
Damn.
Alessi's cross will look like a bondage beating.
Damn. Wow. Oh my God.
Thomas, thank you for the 5. In my opinion, this is junk science. Ed is a junk science person.
Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner.
Chicken dinner. Itty Bitty, thank you for the 2. Thank you both. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you. Rosemary J, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for the 5. Holly from Canada, thank you for the Canadian. He was trying to dazzle the jury with brilliance when it was nothing but bullshit. There you go. Mimi, lover of good law. Issue with Brennan, didn't even understand the technology. That's why he kept repeating questions. Brennan is literally throwing this case away. Yeah. I'm almost done, Ed. Amy, thank you for gifting. Holy cow, 10 memberships. Thank you for your generosity, Amy.
Thank you.
Anybody notice that I de-blurred my background and now we could see the sign better? Did you notice that, Ed?
Yes, yes. I like that.
You didn't notice it until I
noticed you were darker. I'm
darker because I want this. I want people to see the Crime Time with Duty Run sign. Beamer 650, member for 15 months. Thank you for all the work you both do. Y'all are the best. Thank you. Ed, yeah.
Yes, I heard him talk about the VIN number. In newer models, there's a VIN number. Okay, and then he got the number of the VINs wrong.
Let's go to the chat. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. Let's go to everybody live in the chat. Let's take some questions from our live listening audience, because you guys and girls are the heartbeat of this channel. We love and appreciate you. We respect you. We thank you for your time here. So hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Ed, and we will highlight your comment on the screen and answer it if we can. So go for it, ladies and gentlemen. Ed, what else do we want to listen to here? Because I think I
wanted to get back to that Voir-dire where Alessi grills him, if we could do that, because in there he says he changed his testimony and his report at Brennan's request to align with Ian and Shannon.
There you go. Bingo. Ed, I'm searching for it. I'm going to highlight some of the comments. Barbie says, love your sign, DutyRon. Thank you. Texas Girl 58 says, Alessi is going to have him crying tomorrow.
Oh, my God. It's going to be a massacre.
VIN numbers have been out since 1954. We all know that. The VIN
Yeah.
numbers have been out for a long time. He said, oh, it's relatively new. What? This guy's smoking crack? Well, I mean, come on. Let's see. Thank you, Thunder Horse, for that. Joey Brooklyn's in the chat. Let me see. I don't see any. Oh, here's the hashtag. Lori G.
Well, okay.
What,
Ed, I didn't hear any taking into consideration the slope down of the driveway, which would have changed the whole map. Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, how the geometry and the angles of these different roads, and none of that was taken into consideration. Geez, I lost my train of thought because when that popped on, there was something else that I was going to say. Hopefully it'll pop back into my head.
Let's go. I got Voir-dire. I got it all.
No, roll. Let's go to the videotape.
You want the whole thing? I'll speed it up, Ed, if you'd like.
Okay.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Good morning, Your
Good
Honor.
morning, sir.
With the cap. Let's pull the chat really quick. Do you guys like the closed caption on? Yes or no? Put a 1 in the chat if you like it. Put a 2 if you want us to 86 and nix it. Do you like the chat? Yes or no? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Go. Thinking for myself, just sent a question in. DutyRon or Ed, it's obvious when they are losing their case, the Commonwealth somehow invokes a mistrial. How many times can they get away with this?
I hope that let's see what happens tomorrow. I don't think Judge Bev is going to give a mistrial.
I have a video that's just very short. It's like 3 minutes, and it explains the mistrial process. Maybe we'll play it towards the end of this.
Okay.
All right, let's listen to this. Do they want the closed captions? I think
I see ones.
I saw Sallyport says a 3. That wasn't even part of the voting. That's Sallyport being funny. Thank you, Sallyport ghosts. Got to have some humor every once in a while.
So we're going to have a short voir-dire. Okay, so Mr. Alessi.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That was 11 minutes and 45 seconds. That's not too short, but okay. Thank you.
Morning, Dr.
I'll have Ed answer that when he comes back. He's going to the bathroom.
Welcher.
Good morning.
If you look at any documents in answering my question, I appreciate you letting me know that, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any documents open in front of you at this moment?
I do. I have a minor.
Your Honor, I would ask until the question
Can
comes
you
up.
do without it, sir?
Depending on the question. Sure.
Okay, so just let us know if you need to look at it. Don't look at it without
I mean,
permission, please. All right, go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Your
Alessi.
Honor. Dr. Welcher, you have changed your PowerPoint presentation in the last few days in this case, correct?
I deleted a slide and removed a couple words.
Right, but you changed your PowerPoint presentation, correct?
Correct. I deleted a slide and deleted a couple words.
Who have you spoken to at the Commonwealth in the last 2 weeks? Anybody associated with the Commonwealth, who have you spoken to?
In the last 2 weeks, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Lally, Lieutenant Tully.
Anyone else?
I think Mary Ellen Gray,
Anyone else?
the tech person, Cindy, this morning.
And with regard to those conversations, what prompted those conversations? Who initiated them?
I was originally told I was going to have to be out here last Monday. So there was a whole flurry of conversations around that. I was initially told I may have to give all my rebuttal testimony on a whole huge data set I'd received.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. My question was simply because we have a limited amount of time. Who initiated the conversations?
Oh, there were multiple conversations.
How many?
I have no idea.
More than 10?
I'm sorry?
More than 10?
Probably not.
All right. What did you discuss with, you understand it's no longer Detective Lieutenant Tully. As I understand, it's Lieutenant Tully. Did you have you said you had conversations with him, correct?
Correct.
When was the first conversation? How many? And what are the nature of those conversations?
Are you limiting it to the last 10 days or in total in my life?
Within the last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks. I believe it was when I got here on Saturday night, I informed them I'd landed. And then Sunday morning, he gave me a ride over to the district attorney's office.
And what did you discuss from when you, did you have any discussions with Lieutenant Tully before Saturday, within the last 2 weeks?
Not to my knowledge.
What did you discuss with Lieutenant Tully? Topics.
Give me a time frame.
I keep saying the last 2 weeks. That's the time frame I'm looking
all
at.
the conversations I had with him.
Yes.
If this guy can't remember the conversations he had with the prosecuting side, everybody on the side of the prosecutor, then, I mean, are we to believe that 2 weeks worth of conversations in the 2 weeks in the past that this guy cannot recall, and he's got to go, bullshit. I gotta get
and there's a lot of shit floating around Lieutenant Tully.
Yeah, he's always in the mix of all of this stuff.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, Tully, everybody's saying it. Tully. If you think Tully is dirty as fuck, put a 1 in the chat. If you think he's okay, put a 2. Let's see how many 2s come up.
Can you have somebody pick me up at the hotel?
I'm talking substantive, sir, about your outline, your PowerPoint presentation. Topics of what discussions about the topics in your PowerPoint presentation?
I had no discussions with him about the topics in my PowerPoint presentation.
Wow. Who did you have discussions with from the Commonwealth about the topics in your PowerPoint presentation?
Mr. Brennan and Mr. Lally.
Describe those conversations and how many you had, including the first one that you had.
Well, I originally submitted my presentation with my original report way back, I believe in January.
Right. I'm asking for conversations within the last 2 weeks.
Okay, question wasn't clear.
He keeps saying the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. How much more clarity does this jerk off need? Oh man.
Then on Sunday, we just went through top to bottom through my presentation. Mr. Brennan wanted to make sure he understood everything in it. And then I met with Mr. Brennan again on Sunday. We ran through it briefly again. And then that was largely it.
Who suggested the changes to your presentation?
Mr. Brennan.
Mr. Brennan suggested the changes that you make.
He indicated some of the things, for example, the slide I deleted referenced testimony that I was not allowed to include on a slide.
Were there any discussions with anybody from the prosecution team about the changes with regard to the what I would call the Dighton route, the Dighton distance, and the total mileage? Do you know which slide I'm referring to, sir?
I do, yes.
Who initiated the discussion on the changes to that slide?
So that slide was changed, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 days ago.
Oh, it was changed 8 or 10 days ago.
Correct.
Oh,
Were there any
shit.
changes made from 8 or 10 days ago to what's now in your presentation?
Not beyond what we talked
Oh,
about.
okay. So 10 days ago, those changes were made.
8 to 10 days ago. I could actually probably figure out exactly when, if you like.
Now my next questions go to Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess is a colleague of yours at Aperture, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of...
This is where the bullshit comes in to play here. He says, oh, let's just let him.
Issues relating to the accuracy or inaccuracy of his CV?
Unfortunately, I've been bombarded with emails that have referenced that. I've seen it. I have not read them.
Unfortunately, my colleague is a liar. And yeah, I've been bombarded with a lot of emails. And I'm sure that his LinkedIn and all of his socials is also being bombarded with liar, liar, pants on fire.
You've been bombarded with them, but you have, and you say unfortunately, but you have not read any of them? None?
Maybe 1 or 2 lines. For example, they come in, they're looking like legitimate business emails. And then I pull it up as a business email. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to do this. Court said I can't look at this.
Now, I want to go back to your slide presentation. I understand that you intend, subject to our objections at the court's ruling, you intend to present testimony with regard to your PowerPoint, where you are going to elaborate on your 1231-38 to 1231-43 trigger 1162-2, and you're going to add to what has been in your presentation a verbal discussion with regard to Mr. Burgess's change that he made in his May 8th report with regard to the variance time window. Do I have that correct?
No, you don't. It's not based upon a verbal discussion. It's based upon his report.
Okay, so you're going to make, you propose, what you're intending to do is you want to add the change from Mr. Burgess's May 8th report to what you're going to testify to on your PowerPoint. Do I have that correct?
That is correct.
And the only reason you're going to testify with regard to altering the 1231-38 to 1231-43 window is because of what Mr. Burgess has done on May 8th. Is that correct?
It's better data. So I'm altering it and correcting it with better data that I've received from Mr. Burgess.
Right. But my point is, if it weren't for Mr. Burgess's change, you wouldn't be making any changes in your testimony, correct? It's only because of what Mr. Burgess did on May 8th. Is that correct?
Only from his report, correct.
Correct. So, and you understand, sir, that that change has significant effects on the very issues in this case with regard to the timeline and the collision you allege occurred, and comparing it to human volitional conduct of Mr. O'Keefe with regard to his manipulation of the phone. You understand the consequences of that change, do you, sir?
I do. I would disagree with your assertion that it's consequential. Again, my original data, which is in my PowerPoint and has not changed, that data is still there. The timing was extremely close within the error of the measurements, which Mr. Burgess ultimately showed in his subsequent report that was within the variance associated with those timing devices.
I understand, but my point, sir, and I want to understand if I have it correct, is that is going to move the time that you assert the 1162-2 trigger occurred, correct?
Correct.
And
that 1162 trigger, 1162-2 trigger is when they allege that the Lexus hits police officer John O'Keefe, correct, Ed?
I believe so.
Yeah, I have it written down here. That trigger 1162-2 is crucial in this case.
It's
would agree that's a substantial change given the issues in this case when seconds matter, or do you think it's an insignificant change?
I wouldn't say it's insignificant. Again, I haven't modified my PowerPoint at all. I was happy with the data I had and satisfied with the data I had. Again, once presented as engineer would with better data, we use better data. I'm sorry.
Please, for Voir-dire, let him finish.
Yeah.
It brings it.
I wonder what he looked at to the left there. Did you catch
Somebody
that?
said something.
Yeah, I mean, that was weird. He really looked like, what the? I have to play this, so everybody plug your ears up. But this goes to Dr. Welcher.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Closer in time to Ian Whiffen's last contact point data. But even if we don't have that, given what I knew about the variance in the cell phones, my time was still within that window anyway.
Sir, you've just answered my question, which is
Good.
You agree that it affects the...
Did you hear that? Did you hear him say good?
Yes.
This guy is fucking arrogant, man.
Mm-hmm.
The timeline in the activity of Mr. Whiffen's report, you said brings it closer. Did I have your words correctly?
Correct. What I was concerned about was your word about significant change. It brings it closer. It doesn't necessarily bring it significantly closer. My original...
Closer to what?
Very close.
Closer to what?
Closer to what? Closer to the prosecution's new theory?
Within the range.
So you're altering your science to conform to what the prosecution wants. That's what I'm hearing. Is that what anybody else is hearing?
Ed, you said he is altering his science.
That's right.
Fake it till you make it. Hello from Costa Rica. That's a great comment right there. Monica, welcome. Good to see you. There was a super chat that came in, Ed, that was interesting, and I wanted you to take it. Where the heck is it? Here it is. Thank you, Darkborn, for the 20. I didn't think any witness could read directly from their notes/reports, but the judge allowed this guy to do it several times, even to read directly from it in open court. I've only seen refresh your memory from notes.
Yes.
slash
It's
report.
first you got to get permission from the judge to look at your notes, and then you have to tell them what you're looking at. And then it was just to refresh your memory. You're not supposed to read directly from the report. And you'll see Alessi object to this several times when he does this.
Right. The Dusty Truth sends in a 5 and says, how do you trust an expert that gets his own career title incorrect? Now, if you stack him and Burgess together, what do you got?
Yeah.
You got a shit sandwich.
He had to refer to his own CV at one point in his testimony here.
Accuracy of those types of cell phones, infotainment system data. So even if I didn't have Mr. Burgess's subsequent report, the data is still within that time window.
Sir, isn't it a fact that with the variance of Mr. Burgess that you want to testify to, that there is a change because your 1162.2 trigger 1231.38 to 1231.43, you know that there's a device lock event on the phone of Mr. O'Keefe after that time period. You understand that, correct?
So again, there's a window of plus minus on that. Technically, those timestamps on that are as you indicated. Again, there's literally, I wrote that on my slide. It includes my slide where I have that exact comment.
But my question, sir, is the change means now that with the Mr. Burgess variance moving, you now have part of the moving range that occurs after the device lock, whereas before your change, the device lock occurred after every bit of your range of 1162.2. I have that correct, don't I, sir?
You do.
Okay.
Okay, so
Your Honor,
that's it.
that's all I needed. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to bring.
Did you hear that? She actually cut Mr. Alessi off. That's it. Did you hear that, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, lifeguard Bev, she's throwing the preserver in.
That's it. She said, that's it. Unbelievable, man. So in fairness to everybody in the chat, let's take 5 minutes of questions, and then we'll try to wrap it up. But there's going to be fireworks in the courtroom tomorrow. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ed. This is going to be a day that you want to be listening, a day to remember. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting, and God only knows what we're going to start off with.
Yeah,
Because
Alessi's sharpening his knives as we speak.
Bev wants to sleep and drink on. Sleep and think about it, and give her ruling in the morning. Right? This is the first time we heard, well, in recent past, that she wanted to think about it and give a ruling in the morning. So Ed, scan the chat, and I'll get the next thing going. Late start tomorrow. Yes, thank you, makeup sir.
10 o'clock tomorrow, right?
10 a.m. tomorrow. That means 11.
Mm-hmm.
Scan the chat. You got it for a minute. I'm doing back end work here.
No, we won't be covering it live. Ron's working, and I'll be following it though.
Yeah, there's hundreds of channels who covers it live. There's many. Melanie Little is one to definitely watch.
So Ed, John O'Keefe's arms injuries were all horizontal. Welcher's arms is bent in his experiment. That causes the injuries above and below the elbow that point in a different direction. 100% on board with you there. And there's no way that those shards of polycarbonate caused those injuries, as this expert is saying. No way. If you look at the clothing in the hoodie, you will see a circular entry and then an elongated tear. Okay. What piece of polycarbonate can do that? Okay. What piece? Is it more similar to, especially if you look at the shards of polycarbonate, the red and the reflector portion of the tail light that were recovered? Do you see anything that matches that geometry? No, but do canine teeth match that? Do potential claws potentially have the ability to do something like that? Nope. No polycarbonate, red or clear, inside of the damage or the wounds. All right, dog bites, dog scratches.
Let's listen to a little piece from one of the local news outlets there, WCVB. Let's hear this. This just came in a little while ago. before the 6 o'clock news.
During the first trial, a state police trooper testified that John O'Keefe made a kind of pirouette before landing on the ground. This new expert for the prosecution provided.
He was talking about Trooper Paul, right?
And he opened the door in his testimony saying that he relied on some of Trooper Paul's work.
How the F can you rely on that guy? Was incompetent. I mean, we don't want to go there again, but definitely incompetent.
Folks, there was no pig DNA in the wounds. They didn't swab the wounds. They swabbed the sleeve of the shirt, the hoodie that John was wearing. But
remember that during the first trial, a state police trooper testified that John O'Keefe made a kind of pirouette before landing on the ground. This new expert for the prosecution provided a more detailed explanation, including by having himself hit by a vehicle. Hired by the prosecution, Dr. Welcher says he bought an SUV exactly the same as Karen Reed's Lexus, then dressed in clothing similar to what John O'Keefe was wearing that night, and had the copy vehicle back into him at slow speeds. Vehicle back into him similar to what John O'Keefe was wearing that night. And
is that a fair demonstration, Ed?
no, not even close.
Is this
You get a better science experiment out of a fifth grader.
Is this, in your expert opinion, a joke?
Yes.
And you don't say that lightly. That actually hurts you to say that, but in fact, it is true.
Yes, it's 100% true.
Oy vey. Let's watch it again. It's that good.
Then dressed in clothing similar to what John O'Keefe was wearing that night, and had the copy vehicle back into him at slow speeds.
This is the post-contact image of the transfers onto my arm.
Welcher says grease paint left on his arm by the taillight matches up with where John O'Keefe suffered scratches on his.
Yeah.
Outside court, Reed dismissed Welcher's findings and mocked his investigative techniques.
So he tried to dress identically to John, but didn't do anything else to mimic what the Commonwealth is accusing me of.
Welcher says based on data from the SUV and from O'Keefe's cell phone, plus other evidence and other testing he did, he is sure Reed's SUV clipped or sideswiped O'Keefe, knocked him to the ground, and caused a fatal head injury.
The reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that is what happened.
Welcher testified he used...
Didn't Trooper Paul say that he flew 30 some odd feet in the air?
Yeah, and landed on the phone underneath him.
Now he's just falling backwards. Just
Right, with gravity. There was, if you get hit with the car at 25 miles an hour like that's not the way you're going to fall.
Did anybody in the chat see? There was one point when Dr. Welcher was in control of the PowerPoint presentation. And I'm not going to show it here out of respect, but they showed Police Officer John O'Keefe in the autopsy suite, laying on a stretcher. I know that setup. We've been in autopsy suites many times, Ed and I. Anybody catch that today? And Judge Bev was like, take that down, take that off. It showed him laying on, and I guarantee you there's people that are going to clip that and show that over and over again. I won't do that out of respect, because for me, it's just the ultimate disrespect. And they showed it in open court on the grand stage here. This is an internationally watched show. This is not just, people watching in the United States. This is global.
Hey, Ron, one of my Native American friends that I trained is given the good doctor here a new name.
Oh, let's hear it.
His Native American name now is Dances with Dummies.
Dances with Dummies. You heard it here first, courtesy of one of Ed Wallace's students. I love it. I love it. I love it. Excellent, Ed. Let's let the rest of this play, because it's only like another minute of this.
Laser scanners and 3D sideswiped O'Keefe, knocked him to the ground, and caused a fatal head injury.
The reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that is what happened.
Welcher testified he used laser scanners and 3D models to determine Reed's taillight could not have been damaged, as the defense says, when it bumped into O'Keefe's SUV in a driveway.
That impact did not break or crack that taillight.
The defense fought to limit what Welcher could testify to the jury, and has yet.
He's saying that impact could not have cracked that taillight. But yet, Jen, Karen, and Kerry all say they saw a cracked taillight.
After she came out of the driveway there.
Yeah. So a cracked taillight, not a missing taillight, a cracked taillight, a damaged taillight, right? Unbelievable.
This whole thing gets uglier by the day.
Fought to limit what Welcher could testify to the jury and has yet to cross-examine him.
So did you go in reverse 24 miles an hour, 53 feet? The data is what the data is, and it's going to come out cleanly, more cleanly.
Yeah. Here's another thing, folks. Hold on.
What do you got, Wallace?
If what he says is true, and that car, her car reversed the 87 feet, which is similar to the amount of feet that John walked into the house, right? She would have hit Brian Higgins' plow on his Jeep that was parked there, according to his testimony.
Yeah, it's the 34 feet in reverse at 23 miles an hour, then stops, backs up, 53, which is the total of the 87. Just, what'd you think of this when the reporter asked her, "Did you back up your car?" And Karen's response. What did you think of that, Ed?
Well, she can't deny it. It's in the data is in there, but only 10 seconds worth, because remember, this expert says it's only a 10-second snapshot on these triggers, and she was still going at 20 something miles an hour in reverse. So she went beyond the 53 feet there.
Yeah. So somebody Forsakes Alive says, I can't even believe that they asked her that. Reporters' jobs are to ask questions. Some of them are, questions that could really be hurtful to a defendant. And that's the reason why I'll always stand by this. And Ed, I know you will, and any good defense attorney will stand by it. You don't let your client speak to the media while a trial is going on, or any time for that matter. And there's a very good reason for it. But maybe they have some grand scheme plan that is unorthodox that we don't know about, because Alan Jackson and the crew don't seem to be the big dummies, right? So I think that they have some type of method to their madness, so to speak. Let's hope.
Alessi is chomping at the bit.
Yeah, look at him. He looks like a spider monkey right there. He's ready to go. He's jacked up on Mountain Dew, Ed.
The data is what the data is, and it's going to come out cleanly, more cleanly in our case in chief.
Now, also today, the defense named 4 new potential witnesses that it might call, 4 men who have previously been publicly unconnected to this case. The defense will only say that it plans to use these men to authenticate certain records, but didn't say which records.
All right.
Text messages.
Let's get ready to wrap this up, because I got to work tomorrow. An hour and 22 minutes. I want to thank the moderators, the replay viewers, the super chatters. Let me just scan the super chats real quick, because a few of them came in after the fact. So Susan sends in $10 just to ask us, what do you mean in your title, possible mistrial? Susan, we talked about it in the first minute of when we went live. And Ed, I know you got something to say about that.
Yeah, Susan, based upon what transpired today, I don't know if you saw the testimony today, but at the end, there was a portion of the testimony at the end where the expert for the prosecution stated that this is how it happened. Yeah. And there was an objection by Alessi immediately. The judge struck the entire statement, and then gave instructions to the jury to disregard what was just said. And then there was hearings out of the presence of the jury with what just transpired, and they didn't come out. The defense didn't come out and ask for a mistrial. But there was a big sidebar. There was arguments. So the judge is going to have to do something about it, because Alessi cited case law saying that this whole testimony is now no good and is should be stricken, and gave the case law. The Brennan said no, that's not true, and Brennan said they couldn't cite, but they came with the receipts. They had the citation for the case law involving what just transpired. So they could ask for a mistrial. The defense, that is, could ask for a mistrial tomorrow, depending on what happens, and we'll see.
We shall see. Thank you, Dawn Marie. Appreciate that. She says she called us both badasses. Ditto 75 sends in 10 and says, thank you. We love and support you both so much. Watched your Birchmore video last night. See, people are watching. We did that video almost a year ago. Watched your Birchmore video last night. Holy cow. I felt bad for you going through all of that, but I am learning so much. Thank you, fellas. Free Karen Reed.
Thank you for your support.
Ditto 75. Thank you. Susan Wood, thank you for the 10. What do you mean you're tired? We already just did that. Susan again. Oh, wait, I'm getting confused here. Ed, you're working the switchboard. I'm trying to get through these.
I'm not doing anything.
I don't know what's happening. Despite the look on my face, sends in a 5 and says, I've seen more legitimate experts at a middle school science fair. How about that? Holy shiitake mushrooms. Lisa Dempsey, always a pleasure to see you, and thank you for the support. 5. I want to know why he was provided front and rear patrol car videos and the defense wasn't. Insanity. Yeah, we don't have the answer to that. Katie, thanks for the 2. How many feet are they going to charge? 64? Now 87.
It's 30-something forward and 50-something backwards.
Yeah, it's 34 forward at 23 miles per hour, stops, and then backs up 53 feet, equaling total of 87. Thank you for that super chat, Katie. Mickey Duff, thank you for the 5. Thank you, Ed and Ron. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just say no to sideswipe volunteering. Karen Reed sent in 2. He said he used sideswipe volunteers. He's crazy.
Yeah. He is human beings to sideswipe.
Jesus. The Dusty Truth, thank you for the 5. How do you trust an expert that gets his own title? Yeah, we did. We already highlighted that one. Thank you, Dusty. Christina, $3 super sticker. Thank you. Ocean Girl for becoming a new member. Darkborn, we answered this out. Did we answer that out?
Yes, we did.
We did. Thank you. Head Rolling Fast, thank you for the 5. Darkborn again with another 10. Between Welcher and Burgess, Aperture will be put out of business with these terrible experts. It's a really bad look. It's a black eye, and I don't really think about it, Ed. How many people across this great United States is going to say, "Oh, Aperture, they're a good company." Right now, they got major mud to clear up. I don't think they'll ever be able to clear it up.
He's the vice president.
Holy shiitake mushrooms! I'll say it again. That is insane. Thank you, Doc Born, for the 10. Christina Fox, thank you for the super sticker. Ed, we're almost done. Sandra, thank you for the 20 super sticker. Much appreciated. Thank you for everybody for the support. Amber, Ambient Film sends in 5 and says, more sass, please. She likes the sass, Ed. We got to get more sassy for her. Thank you for the 5. Characita, thank you. And then apparently, while getting hit on his arm at 24 miles an hour, kept his head right in place and gets hit by the spoiler on his brow. Yeah. It's insanity at its best. Hair apparent, thank you for the 2. She was not doing that. Tow truck driver was. She was not doing that. So she's talking about the Karen statement about the backing up. Worshipful Master, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. With look at this profile picture. Oh, Mr. Albert. Morrissey's Meatball Morrissey's sketch date. Joining late, but did you catch the Welcher saying her car was brought to the Dighton Sallyport? I did catch that. Ed, did you catch on to that?
Yes, I did.
You spoke. All right. Thank you all. That's all the super chats. Crispy Treat is in the chat. A bunch of people. Listen, we have a video that I was going to upload as a premiere. It's a really good video. It's the actual, and it's not really, it's a tough video to listen to, but it's I asked Kristen to edit all of former disgraced fired Trooper Michael Proctor's disgusting testimony as it pertains to what he said about Karen Reed. And it's a good reminder for all of us that are following this, and some of the people who are supporting the prosecution, the Commonwealth, and that theory that Karen Reed did in fact murder police officer John O'Keefe. It's a good reminder to those people to listen to what the lead investigator said and did on January 29th, 2022. And these text statements and these text strings that were read out loud in court are riveting. They will tell you what you need to know. On January 29th, the night of, just 17 hours later, he already made a determination of who did this crime without any investigation, without any interviews, without pulling any videos from the surrounding neighbors' houses, without doing anything. And we'll be playing that during the day tomorrow.
But Sergeant Yuri said he was listening to the crime scene. No, Sergeant Yuri and Proctor, you were listening to Jen.
Yeah, bullshit. Oh, look, here's 3-Chord Dave. I spent about an hour today in and out of NBC 10's live stream, like going in and out. And who was there? 3-Chord Dave. He was hanging out in the chat, really toxic chat, crazy people in the chat, but focused people like 3-Chord Dave. Let's say the guy was never in the house.
Yeah, I never seen witnesses like this. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Ed, we're gonna exit, but this is the actual video, so it's a total of 27 minutes. Look for that being uploaded as a premiere. We can all be in the chat hanging out. I'll play it maybe tomorrow night or the next night, but we're going to be live tomorrow night, right, Ed? I think we cannot not go live. All right, on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we want to thank you all for hanging out for an hour and 31 minutes. You guys, again, this is about police officer John O'Keefe and getting justice for him, his family, and everybody, and also justice as it pertains for Karen Reed. I feel strongly every day. I feel stronger and stronger about her being falsely accused here. The evidence doesn't support the theory. So it's always great to see everybody. Ed, I want to thank you for your time. Without you, this conversation would not be as interesting because you are an expert at crime scene, evidence collection, forensics, and the right way to do things. So I want to thank you for taking out your time and for being here to helping school everybody on what's right and what's wrong, because you stand up for what's right and what's wrong. And we appreciate that tremendously.
I don't know any of that shit. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express on Route 72 in New Jersey last night.
And didn't you save a lot of money by switching your insurance to Geico?
To Geico, yes.
15% or more. Ed, I know you always got something to say at the end of these things. Please.
Well, thank you, folks, for sharing this time together with us and supporting us at Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet and YouTube. And it's an honor to have you here supporting us and listening to what we have to say. I always say this at the end of our shows: please stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six. But I'd like to add a little something else. I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Ron.
Wow. Good night from New York City and an undisclosed. Well, we've already disclosed your location. Good night. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace and love.